I opened my mailbox and froze, a letter from the HOA telling me I had 30 days to vacate my own cabin. That's how this unbelievable story began. I went from being a quiet lakefront cabin owner to holding the financial fate of an entire HOA in my hands, and when they tried to kick me out, I made them regret it overnight. Let me tell you how it all happened. I'd always wanted a peaceful place to escape from city life. After years of saving, I bought a small but beautiful cabin on a private lake. It wasn't just any lake, it was a serene, 200-acre gem surrounded by trees and wildlife. The cabin sat on leased land. The HOA in charge of the surrounding subdivision leased portions of the lakefront from a private company. My cabin was on a small strip of land included in that lease, but my cabin itself? That was mine. When I bought it, the real estate agent assured me the lease was stable. The HOA pays the fee for the whole lakefront, he said. You're grandfathered in. Nobody's going to bother you. He couldn't have been more wrong. At first, everything was fine. I'd fish off my dock, paddle my kayak at sunrise, and barbecue with friends on weekends. Then one day, a woman with a clipboard knocked on my door. "Hi, I'm Karen," she said. "I'm the HOA president." She handed me a packet of papers. "We're updating our rules for the lakefront. From now on, only HOA members can occupy structures on leased land. That means you'll need to vacate within 30 days. I was stunned. "But I own this cabin," I said. "Yes," she replied, "but you don't own the land. The HOA leases it, and we've decided we no longer want non-members here." I flipped through the packet. They were basically evicting me from my own property, without offering a cent of compensation. I called a special meeting with the HOA board. It was me versus 5 people in polo shirts and smug smiles. "This isn't legal," I said. "My cabin's been here for 40 years. Karen smirked. "The land lease is ours. We can end your right to occupy it any time." I tried to reason with them. "I'm not harming anyone. I keep my place neat. I even clean up trash from the shoreline." A man on the board shrugged. "We're trying to make the lakefront exclusive to residents. It raises property values." In other words, they wanted me gone so they could sell my spot to someone else. I left that meeting furious, but not defeated. That night, I went online and started digging. I searched county records, old deeds, and lease agreements. It took hours, but eventually I found something interesting. The land under my cabin, and the entire lakefront, wasn't owned by the HOA. It was owned by a private company that had inherited it from the original developer. The HOA only leased it. Even better, the lease was up for renewal in just 3 months. I pulled up the actual lease contract. My jaw dropped. The HOA was paying a ridiculously low fee, basically a fraction of market value, for access to the entire lakefront. And the contract gave the landowner the right to renegotiate or terminate the lease if they wanted. That's when it hit me. If I could get control of that lease, the HOA wouldn't be able to touch me. I tracked down the private company's owner, an elderly man named Mr. Lewis. He didn't even live in the state anymore. I called him up. "Would you be interested in selling your lease rights to the lakefront?" I asked. He paused. "Honestly, I've been thinking about it," he said. "The HOA's been a headache. They always pay late. We negotiated over a week. In the end, I bought the rights to the entire 200-acre lakefront lease for $150,000. A big chunk of money, but less than what I'd paid for my city house. Overnight, I became the landlord of the HOA's prized lakefront. I waited until the ink was dry on the contract. Then I sent a certified letter to the HOA board. "As the new leaseholder of the lakefront property, I hereby notify you that your lease terms will be renegotiated effective immediately. Until new terms are agreed upon, all previous permissions are revoked." Within hours, my phone lit up. Karen called. Her voice panicked. "What is this? You can't just do that." "Oh, but I can," I said calmly. "I own your lease now." "You're bluffing." "Check with the county," I said and hung up. The next day, the HOA's lawyer emailed me, confirming that yes, I was now their landlord. I drafted a new contract. It was simple. The HOA could continue using the lakefront, but at triple the previous lease fee. They would have no authority over my cabin or any other private structures. Any attempt to harass or evict me would void their lease entirely. I gave them 14 days to sign. Karen sent me a furious email. "This is extortion." I replied, "No. This is business. You tried to kick me out. Now you pay market rates or leave." Word spread quickly. The HOA board had told everyone I was just some outsider squatting on their lakefront. Now the truth was out. I owned their lease. Residents started calling me directly, asking if they could still fish or use the dock. "Of course," I said. "I'm not here to punish anyone. I'm just not letting the HOA bully me." The board, meanwhile, scrambled. They tried to negotiate a smaller increase. They even threatened to sue. But the contract was airtight. Without signing my new lease, they'd lose access to the lakefront entirely, meaning no docks, no boat launches, no walking paths. Their property values would tank overnight. On day 13, I received an email, "We accept your new terms." They signed the contract, agreeing to triple the lease fee. They also signed an addendum guaranteeing they would never interfere with my cabin again. From that day forward, the HOA had to send me a large check every quarter just to keep their lake access. Life at my lake cabin became peaceful again. I fished, kayaked, and watched sunsets without worrying about eviction notices. Even better, I had turned the tables completely. Instead of being at the mercy of the HOA, I was now their landlord. Ironically, some residents started treating me like a local hero. They'd wave at me, thank me for cleaning up the shoreline, and even bring over cookies. They realized it wasn't me making life difficult, it was their own board. Karen, on the other hand, resigned as HOA president within months. Rumor had it she moved out of the neighborhood altogether. This whole ordeal taught me a few big lessons. Always read the fine print on leases and property rights. Just because an HOA acts powerful doesn't mean they actually hold the cards. Sometimes the best revenge is perfectly legal and perfectly fair. I never wanted a fight. I just wanted to enjoy my cabin. But when the HOA tried to kick me out, I found a way to protect myself, and in the process, I made them pay for their own arrogance. If you're dealing with an overreaching HOA, don't panic. Do your research. Look at the actual ownership and lease agreements. The law may give you more leverage than you think. I didn't threaten anyone. I didn't break a single rule. I simply turned their own system against them and came out on top. So next time someone tries to push you off what's rightfully yours, remember this story. Sometimes the quiet cabin owner at the lake is the one holding all the power.